Greetings again, Male Plussers, and not that you need me to remind you, but it's the Friday to which we've been looking forward all week. And what better way to see in the weekend than quizzing your way to a possible cash prize? I'm Beric Livingstone, and I'll be your virtual guide through this afternoon's game, helping you on your way to that immensely appetizing split of £1,000. A few rules to note before we can move forward into today's quiz. I'll be asking you 10 multiple choice questions. We've hand-picked these questions from an assortment of tantalizing trivia topics for a well-rounded test of your knowledge. With only 10 seconds to answer, a fast reaction time will be your saving grace, because if you answer in time and get all 10 questions correct, a share of the cash pot is yours. If you end up getting one wrong, the cash will no longer be up for grabs, but even if on this particular occasion the money has slipped out of your grasp, you might surprise yourself with how much you know by answering the questions regardless, and it'll build up your confidence for the next time you play. And one final word of caution: be careful of your touchscreen, because one single accidental brush and a wrong selection might well get you into trouble, because once you've selected an answer, you can't change it. Lots of our players are setting a reminder on their phones for 12:15 every weekday as the afternoons fly by, especially when you've got to make a lockdown lunch, so it's best to set an alarm to help remind you when the quiz is starting. When your questions do come up and you end up winning, you'll be grateful for the heads up. So there's only one thing left to do, and that's to get going with Park, Hampshire, Essex or Gloucestershire. The New Forest has an important place in British history. It was the only forest in the UK recorded in the Domesday Book in 1086, and shortly after it was where King William Rufus was shot with an arrow under dubious circumstances, leaving the throne to his brother Henry I. The New Forest is in Hampshire. Back to the area dating as far back as the Ice Age. The bone records from the time show that they were being hunted for food. 4,470 of you getting that one right. Well done. Question 2. What name is given to the small, light knife with a very sharp blade used by a need to be careful of handling one of these, because they're even sharper than a fine razor, and the blades can be made from titanium, diamond, or even obsidian, naturally occurring volcanic glass, which, not being metal, doesn't affect MRI scans. It's the scalpel. Ancient medical journals recorded thousands of years ago in India showed that primitive scalpels were being fashioned out of bamboo. And speaking of medical journals, another name for a scalpel is a lancet. 2 out of the way, and we've got Michael 17, Sheila 0, Lynn, Papa John. I recognise some of these names. Welcome back and well done to you. Getting those both correct. Keep a steady hand as we move on to question 3. Which county is Leeds Castle in? Kent, West Yorkshire or Warwickshire? The type of building we think of as a castle was introduced by the Normans. And before that, Britain defended from Viking invasions using burhs, which were a network of roads and singular protective walls with shelters in major towns, so that no rural settlement would be too far away from a place of refuge. Leeds Castle can be found in Kent. Not, as you might have thought, anywhere near the city of Leeds, but in the village of Leeds in Kent. Beautiful castle, surrounded by a stunning moat. The last private owner was Lady Bailey, who bought the castle in 1926 for £180,000, which in today's money is around £11 million. Well done, 93% of you getting that one right. We're on to question 4. Which of these words refers to the past rather than the future? Henceforth, hereafter, or heretofore? Do you know your successors from your predecessors? If you do, then this one might come easily to you. The word referring to the past, sometimes found in legal contracts, is heretofore. If you were to ask me to use a sentence as an example, gear yourself up and get ready for a heretofore unseen question in question number 5. Which casino game has a name derived from the diminutive of the French word for wheel? Baccarat, roulette, or pontoon? Spinning the wheel on that previous question was difficult for some of you, as 38% have a French-sounding ring, but it is roulette. That is the French for little wheel. Sometimes referred to as the devil's game, the numbers on the roulette wheel up to a total of 666. Before you decide to drop out of the quiz and turn to gambling to make some dosh, remember, the house always wins. Not here, though, where skill is rewarded and you can take your fate into your own hands. And Reginald, Lynn, Frank 5, you are still in the game. Almost all of you got this one right, despite the last question throwing so many of you. So we have 1,379 players still in the game. 5 wins in a row so far, only 5 left to go. Here's question 6. Where is there an airport with the code PMI? Menorca, Panama, or Mallorca? It's a lovely feeling when you've checked in, you're on time, and you can relax with a nice coffee and a cheese toastie. Or if you're flying from Hong Kong International Airport, you can always relax with a round of golf, because next to Terminal 2 there's a 9-hole USGA-approved golf course open to travellers. PMI is the main airport in Palma de Mallorca, Spain's biggest island, where you can find Liceo Cathedral, the incredible 120-metre-long waterfront construction that only took 400 years to build, beginning in 1229, ending in 1601. Well done, 940 of you getting that one right. Question 7. Which of these is not a major Russian ballet company? Bolshoi, Mariinsky, or Pushkin? Ballet is not for the faint-hearted. It's incredibly strenuous on the body and, more specifically, the feet of the performers. Most ballerinas wear out 2 to 3 pairs of shoes a week in practice. You have to be incredibly strong too. A male dancer can lift the equivalent of 2 tons worth of ballerinas during a single performance. Now, there was a famous ballet master named Alexander Pushkin. We shared a name with the great writer, and Alexander Pushkin taught Nureyev and Baryshnikov, but that is not the name of a major Russian ballet company. Russia continues to produce some of the world's foremost ballet companies, and many Russian dancers and choreographers were amongst those who helped to define the art form as we know it today. Now, dancing in mind, let's see how everyone's getting on. Leaping from question to question, we have 542 players still in the game at this point. We've got Gillian, we've got K1, Mark 10, Yvonne. Well done to all of you. Let's see how these numbers change as we move on to question 8. Which company briefly became the world's 6th largest military in 1982? Shell, Pepsi, or Ford? At the moment, the United Kingdom is ranked as the 8th largest military force in the world, with our close allies across the pond being the largest, and with the highest power index rating, which is a measurement based on a variety of factors, from the amount of people in the military to the budget a country has reserved for war. In 1982, Russia's agreement to serve Pepsi in their country was about to expire, so they traded Pepsi 17 submarines, cruiser, a frigate, and a destroyer that they had left over from the Cold War in exchange for $3 billion worth of the sugary drink. It only lasted a few days though before Pepsi sold all of their new toys to a Swedish company for scrap metal. Wonder if any of them ended up as scrap for Pepsi cans. 332 of you getting that one right. 2 questions to go. Question 9. At which resort were the first Winter Olympics held in 1924? St. Moritz, Chamonix, or Innsbruck? And Dubai, as you may know, there's one of the world's largest indoor ski slopes, which needs 30 tons of fresh, dry powder snow every night for the next day. It even houses penguins, who are let out of their enclosures several times a day. The first Winter Olympics were held in Chamonix, and were a 12-day program featuring 16 countries competing in 6 sports. Now, 93 countries compete in 15 sports. But one thing remains. Canada dominated the ice hockey in 1924, and they continue to do so today. We're at the final question, everyone. With Bradley 67, we got Delco, we got Dave 67. You are still in the running, and the cash is now in sight. Let's reveal the final question. Question 10. Which of these is not a real berry? Pineberry, cloudberry, or pulpberry? One edible wild berry that's more appetizing than the name suggests is the chokeberry, native to North America. They can be picked and turned into Aronia wine, which is described as having a very tart apple taste, or similar to an unsweetened cherry. A pulp berry is not a real berry. In fact, it's not a real anything. We just made it up. The pine berry is like a white strawberry, and the cloudberry is an amber-coloured fruit similar to the blackberry. If you're in Norway, you might try cloudberry whipped cream and sugar. It's traditionally served as a dessert. Yum! And we have 166 winners today. You've truly earned a huge congratulations. Wells Peter 26, Catherine, Nicole, and someone just called @Trivia. Well done. To get all 10 correct is a feat, especially with the range of topics so broad. So well done to you and all of our 166 winners. Remember, there'll be games next week, so rest up over the weekend, give them a shot, the questions might be exactly what you want, and why not let your friends and family know we're here? Sure, you got some confident quizzers who fancy themselves as a fount of knowledge, so let's see how they do when put to the test. It's always a pleasure to be your host. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Hit the books, rest up, have a great afternoon, and a fantastic weekend. Goodbye.